On Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. Before I get into the accessibility part, let me first off say this game is amazing. It looks amazing, it plays amazing, and it's got an amazing story. Um, Now, what I mean by plays amazing is it handles very smoothly. However, let's get into the accessibility side of things. Okay, let's see. So you have auto aim, very very handy, very handy. Um, they also have this where you can change how long you have to hold a button from 1 to 5 seconds, which is very handy for people that can't hold down the button a long time. So it's basically almost just a press. Um, and then for soothing BB. Now BB is a baby that you carry with you, and you have to soothe him in order to keep him from getting stressed out. Because if he gets stressed out, he can die. Um, so they have the motion sensor, and then they have the R2 button. Now I am using an Xbox Elite controller because it has the back paddle, and that's what I need to play. So I don't have a motion sensor, nor do I have a touchpad. Thankfully, the touchpad, this game is playable without it. It is playable without it. I thought it wouldn't be, but it is. So let's get in. They got the standard HUD settings. Uh, your standard camera. Your standard camera stuff. Okay, so where's it at? Let me see here. Do I have to load up the game? Okay, I might have to load up the game in order to go to the controls. Key balance. Oh no. Oh, you can change that. I didn't know that. Or did I already have that changed? Oh well, I think I didn't have that changed all this time. You know, it happens. Go to the game, control. Okay, I think I gotta go into the game. So, we'll go ahead and load up the game and kind of show you a little bit, I guess. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Okay. Takes a minute to load because it's got a lot of very beautiful graphics to load. Doo-doo. Now, the one thing I will say about this game is, as far as accessibility goes, minus a few things, it is quite poor on accessibility. I will admit that. As much as I love the game, I've had to go without doing many things because the accessibility is, well, it's kind of terrible. But it looks pretty. So, okay. Now, let's go to the terminal, see if it lets me. Orders, mail, data, request. There. Okay, that's what I wanted, the controls. Okay. Now the touchpad, as you can see, the left side of it is photo mode. It's not important unless you really want photos. And the right side calls out items and gives likes to people. You can play without that. It is not mandatory in order to play. So if you don't want to use a PlayStation controller and you want to use an Xbox controller, you can do so and you can play it. Okay, here's where we get down to the meat and potatoes. Everything in this game basically requires you to hold down a button. And some things require you to hold down a button and hit 2 to 3 other buttons. The biggest, one of the biggest complaints that I have to say is using the items. Because when it says select equipment, select items, tools, you have to hold down the respective direction. If you let go, it automatically shuts it off, like it automatically closes. You have to hold it down and then use your analog stick, I think, which is the right one, to go to the item and then release it. I play with my chin with legacy sticks. It is very, very difficult to do. One thing that they definitely could have done is made it where instead of holding it down, you just tap it. Tap the direction, and it opens up. When you use the analog stick and go to your item, tap the whatever direction, like items left, tap it again to close it. There's the fact that there's no toggle is rough. I'll be honest. So the items, the tools, items, and equipment, very, very difficult to use. There needs to be a toggle feature, really, really badly, for people that play like myself with my chin, or people that play with one hand. You're gonna struggle. I mean, it's rough. Um, Now, if you see L1 is enter compass mode, you got to hold that button down as well, and it brings up many different options. So you hold down L1, it brings up your compass, but then you can hit like down on the pad to go to BB, where then you can hit box or square to soothe him. Problem is, you got to hold down L1. If you hold down L1, hit and then hit down and then release L1, closes out completely. Got to hold it down. Again, really needs to be some form of toggle feature for people that can't hold down buttons. It needs to be toggle. It just needs to be. Um, your left hand and your right hand actions, you got to hold down. The only saving grace to that is you can select it where it's 1 second, so it's almost just a button press. However, you will be using your triggers a lot, because when you run around with Sam, that's the character's name, Sam, if you're carrying a heavy load, you will fall over if you don't balance yourself. I have found a way where when you start to stumble, if you immediately hit down on the move stick, it'll kind of re-straighten them and balance them out. Also, if you take it slower, it goes a little bit easier as well, but you still really, really need to use these buttons pretty, pretty often. Um, the options button is simple. You press it, it does what you would expect it to do. No complaints there. Scan terrain, R1, again, kind of what you would expect. You press it, it does what you want it to do. So that's well done. The hold the breath, I get. It's another hold down the button, but I get it. It is harder for me because I gotta try to hold down that button while moving with just my chin and kind of part of my mouth. So that's a little bit more difficult, but I've been able to do it. Um, but, I don't really know how they could fix that part. Okay, the face buttons. You got your cargo. You press the button, you put it on your back. Easy peasy. Everything else except for the square button, I'm pretty sure you only have to press. The square button you got to hold down on certain things, but I've not had any problems with it whatsoever. You're usually in no rush. so you can just kind of at your own pace. You can walk up to something, press it, simple. X, you got your jump, you press it. You can double press it to jump twice, or you can hold it down to keep climbing. It's another hold down the button. I don't know how else they could do that unless they maybe. I don't know how else they could fix that one. I get what they're trying to do, but it is difficult. Your run button is your standard L3. You click it, you run. Your camera R3, you click it, it turns the camera back behind you. You know, everything you would expect from this game. Now, normally on these kind of games, I'm very big on you need legacy sticks. And they are helpful, very much so. And my Xbox Elite Controller Series 2 allows me to put legacy sticks on any game I want. It is the most amazing controller I have legit ever used. Not even kidding. It is well worth the money because it can save separate profiles on your controller. You can use the Xbox to save the profiles, and then you can put them on profile 1, 2, or 3, and it saves them. And you can use your Xbox on the PS4 if you have the Mayflash Magic Pro S. It is very, very handy. But back to the accessibility. Okay. Legacy sticks, in case you don't know, is where it swaps the X-axis, I'm pretty sure. I think it's called the X-axis. It's you got your left analog stick up would move forward, down would move backwards, left would turn left, and right would turn right. On your right analog stick, up would look up, down would look down, left would strafe, move left, and right would strafe, right, move right. In this game, legacy sticks are helpful, but they're not entirely needed because there's not a lot of from so far. I'm not super far into the game, but there's not a lot of combat, so you can kind of go at your own leisure. And if you want to deliver things slow, you can. You'll lose out on the time bonus, but a majority of your points come from the condition of the packages that you deliver anyway. So, it's not really a big deal. So legacy sticks, for the first time I think I've ever said, are not overly needed. You can go without them and be just fine. But so far, we need toggle features. I cannot say that enough. Toggle features would be so, so, so handy. Okay, now let's go to the controls. Kind of what you would expect from any game with vehicle controls. L2 is brake reverse, you gotta hold that down. L1 is your compass mode, you gotta hold that down. Again, we need toggle. R2 is what makes you drive, you gotta hold that down. R1 is scan terrain, you press it. You just tap it, and it does it. Triangle is your brake, you gotta hold it down, depending on the length of time that you need to brake. Square is a dismount, tap it, you get off. X is jump, tap it, you jump. The vehicle controls, I will say for the most part, are they're easy enough. They're easy enough. It's what you would expect out of a standard game like this with controls or vehicle controls. Oh, L3, I'm sorry. L3 is your speed boost, kind of like sprinting, and R3 switches your camera behind you. Pretty basic stuff that you would expect, but overall the game is playable, and there's ways you can get around some things, but a toggle feature is so needed. Like, it would make the game's accessibility night and day if they would just add a toggle feature to the equipment, the enter compass mode. That alone would make the accessibility a 180. Other than that, the game is amazing. I definitely recommend giving it a try, and hopefully somebody at Kojima Productions will see this and maybe just take it into account. If not even for this game and an update, maybe for a future Kojima production game. Maybe they'll take it into account. There's a lot of disabled people out there that really want to play Kojima games because he makes fantastic games. And currently, this setup is for disabled people with range of motion issues. This setup is a mess. It is a mess, and it's sloppy. I mean, for people that don't have range of motion, it's great. But for people with range of motion issues, it's sloppy, and I hate saying that, but it's true, and it's better to be honest. So I hope that there's something they can do to fix that. I really do. But other than that, I highly, highly recommend that you give this game a chance. It's really good. And before I go, if you play the game on very easy, it's easy enough that it's almost like experiencing the story without the mechanics getting in the way. Normally, I don't like playing games on very easy, but in this case, due to the controls, I had no choice. I actually wanted to be able to play the game and not get stuck at the beginning and not be able to ever do anything. So I will give them that. The very easy mode is very helpful because it's when you fall, your packages take very minimal damage. You take very minimal damage. BB can survive quite a while, but yeah, it needs a toggle function for pretty much anything with a hold down button, except for a few things, and that's it. I hope they I hope they listen to this, and I hope they'll at least consider adding in these features down the road for accessibility. Other than that, I just want to take the time to thank everybody. I want to thank Kojima Productions for making such a great game. And in the immortal words of one Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other.